the Norwegian residents in Washington. I should say, I won't bother you very long, but I should say that if I look very strange, it could be, that I am strange, but it's most likely because I was born with a lazy eye, so try to focus on the left eye. Actually none of my eyes works very well, but the left one is the one to focus on. So that if I look like I'm looking out of the window or something, this is the one that works, okay? So if you meet me also in the course of the evening. Thank you very much for taking the time off and come to see us here at the Norwegian Embassy. I thought I should say a few words about Norway and a little bit about the house. If I could start with the house, this has been our residence since 1929, where it was built. So it's all, well, it was actually built by the father-in-law of the ambassador, because he was married to a wealthy woman from Virginia. And he thought that his daughter should live in some style, and he didn't like this Norwegian without any private means. So he built this house, and after a while he was good enough to give it to us, and we've had the building ever since. There are some fantastic art pieces in this house. Everything here is from the National Gallery. There are 7 works by Edvard Munch, none of his paintings. Because one of them is being the Scream is one of the versions of the Scream is being sold in London or New York at the moment. And the last I heard was they were going to get $90 million for it. It was ridiculous. But there's 7 works by Edvard Munch, 1, 2, 3, 3 in the other room, and a wonderful charcoal drawing that Munch made of Henrik Ibsen, the playwright, in the library. So make sure to take a look at them. The others are also nice. But most Americans know Edvard Munch, and that's about it. The 2 oil paintings hanging here is by his one and only student. Munch was a difficult individual, and he only had 1 student for his whole life. And these paintings are by his one and only student, who uses the same technique as the master, but in a much more pleasant. If I were to say, we'll do 2 minutes, my 2 minutes of what Norway is all about. Norway has the population of Alabama, almost down to 1,000 individuals. We're almost exactly the same population as Alabama. We are almost down to 1 square mile, the same territory as Montana. And that's pretty big. There's something called the Big Empty in Montana, and I've been there, and it's big, and it's empty. Few people that are in the Big Empty are Norwegians. Because eastern Montana is quite Norwegian. But there's nobody there. But if you ever find a soul, he's Norwegian. So the size of Montana, the population of Alabama, and we have more or less completely the economy of Massachusetts. Most people are impressed by the latter part. The Alabama and Montana bit goes down, quickly, but the economy of Massachusetts. What do we do in America? Our main business in America is oil and gas. We sell. We thought we were going to sell a lot of gas here. We don't sell a lot of gas because you found shale gas. And now it's the Norwegian Americans in North Dakota that produce the shale gas instead of us. North Dakota is our state, by the way. 35% of North Dakota is Norwegian. But we sell a lot of oil here. We sell a lot of fish. Eat more fish, please. And start to eat white fish also, not only pink fish, right? Pink fish is good, we know, but we hope to sell in the future a lot more white fish, because white fish is very good for you. It's our 2nd largest business in America, and increasing. There's a lot of money in fisheries these days, and our fish stocks are actually growing. They're not depleting. It's not true that fish stocks are depleting all over the world. In the Barents Sea, in the North Atlantic, with some serious and good cooperation from the Russians. It's nice to be able to say something nice about the Russians. Not everybody does. So you have to hear it from the Norwegian ambassador. They actually look after their stocks, which they have together with us very well. Then we have a number of other things that we also do. But these are sort of our basic businesses. I should also mention that there is probably 6 million Norwegian Americans. Somewhere between 5.5 million and 6 million Norwegian Americans. That is American citizens that define themselves as mainly of Norwegian stock. There is something called the American Community Survey, where you identify yourself. It's done in every country, and I bet some of you filled out the forms. And our 5-6 million people are heavily concentrated in a few states. And you will now smile when I say the states, because they're the ones with the worst climate. We came late and we got the worst places. We got North Dakota, there was one over there. We got South Dakota. Yay! Minnesota, in particular the western part of Minnesota, but these days almost the whole of Minnesota. Iowa. The lucky ones are in Wisconsin. And then there's a large group in Washington State. They came much later. And they're a different group than the ones that came to the Midwest. They're maritime people. They're different. We have other in the bigger states like California and Illinois. And in the old days, there used to be a lot in New York and Brooklyn in particular. Yeah, not that many anymore, but there are some. You know, the way American politics is constructed, it's important that you are in smaller states because they also get to have 2 senators, right? So North Dakota has 2 senators, and California has 2 senators. And it's a little bit easier to work on the ones from North Dakota if you're Norwegian. So we have a heavy presence in the Midwest. Still is. My family is an example of this. My grandmother was one of 12. And the other 11 grew up on the prairie. The other 11, she was left behind in Norway. There are many family stories. There are several Norwegians here, and we all have a story like that. So in the 70s, when I started to come to America, I would run around on the prairie and try to find my relatives. And I found lots of them there. They were serious Protestants, so they filled up the earth. They have lots of kids, and it's, you know, for me, I've come to love the American, you know, countryside, small town America, Midwest. I actually like going to small places in Missouri and the Dakotas, and they're great people out there. I boast, if I get a chance of it, and this is my final point, I have slept in barns in 11 American states. In the 70s. But when my hair was dark, but I had no money, and the way to go around was to have an old car and ask to sleep in the barns of former members of Sons of Norway. It was never rejected. I have known a lot of farm dogs in America, because they come to sleep with you in the morning. Okay, so that's it.